Oh God, it's like really late. I thought it was a little earlier than 2:30, but I'm lying here on my bed. I just slept for about an hour and a half now. Uh, no, 2 hours. I fell asleep around 12:30, and it's been so hot that I keep having to remove my shirt because my shirt is just a sweaty mess. And I made a video earlier this evening about how as soon as I removed my shirt while lying on my bed, the violent, rejected, hideously ugly, mentally disturbed psycho thug directly below in Unit 76 started slamming and pounding the floor of my unit, which is his ceiling. And he's been doing this for years now. And he did this as soon as I started taking off my shirt. He also started repeatedly, violently slamming the area around my feet when I was standing over by my door, trying to clean my crotch area because I'm just a sweaty mess and I had my shorts on. The violent pounding was occurring directly at my feet. He was literally hitting the area of his ceiling where my feet were while I was cleaning my crotch with my shorts on, which means nobody should have been able to see what I was doing. I am fully aware that the Greenville Group has been using surveillance devices in my living space since at least 2016, if not earlier. That is when the psycho creep across the street named Charles Thomas, who is actually a sex offender, along with a career thug. I mean, he's just a no-life, low-life piece of shit who refused to leave me alone for years. He would start shouting at me about the color of the washcloths I was using in the shower and the color of my towels. There was also a sex offender living directly next door to me in Unit 88 at the time, initial M, last name Collins. He was in the Massachusetts Sex Offender Registry, and he would make comments at me through the door of his unit when I would be coming and going to or from the common bathroom, and he would tell me what my underwear looked like. So I know that the Greenville Group is using surveillance devices not just in my bathroom, but in the bathroom down the hall. Maybe because I often use the bathroom down the hall. That's why they've placed surveillance devices in that bathroom as well. Why the Greenville Group seems to obsess over placing surveillance devices in the areas that I use in this building or live in, I don't know. All I can speculate is that they're mentally disturbed. They have problems with white females. They themselves are criminals and sex offenders. I happen to know for a fact that one of their employees, Robert McLean, is a sex offender. And he's lived in the building across the street for 28 years, and he works in their mailroom. And for years, he's been informing the other tenants, the other male tenants, directly in front of me that I am a hooker and that they should go for it. Those are his exact words. Mr. Eliseyev has also blatantly made comments to other agency representatives, such as inspectors from inspectional services, such as police officers, right in front of me. Mr. Eliseyev has made comments about how he thinks that I'm a hooker. So, these are sex offenders because there's absolutely no truth to their comments. Not only am I not a hooker, I've never even remotely come close to being any kind of a sex worker. I've always been a research scientist, a consultant, an educator. I've worked in retail. I mean, maybe retail is being a hooker, right? Like you're standing on the sales floor and you're talking to customers. Yeah, that's probably where they think I'm a hooker because I've worked in stores and I stand on the floor and I talk to customers. Yeah, I can see where they're getting that idea. Jesus Christ, you fucking kidding me? They're pieces of shit. They are low-life scum. Robert McLean and Oleg Eliseyev have been literally making up stories about me to other tenants for years for the purposes of harassment and assault. And the end result is that I have gotten physically assaulted by probably about 10 to 12 of the male tenants and a couple of the females in this building since I moved in 2011, physically assaulted. I'm not talking about a little slap on the hand. I'm talking about full-on fists and kicking and grabbing. And, some guy was hitting, I guess I can say his name because the court case is over. Winter Rodriguez was grabbing the back of my head and punching me in the back of the head. That kind of physical assault. I had to go to the hospital with whiplash. So that's the result of Oleg Eliseyev and Robert McLean, who was a sex offender, That's their defamation and their sexual harassment of me by telling all of their male tenants, probably all of them by now, that they think I am a hooker and that these male tenants should just go for it because I am all theirs. And then there's surveillance devices in my bathroom, in the common bathroom down the hall that I often use, and in my living space. And the result of that is that 5 minutes ago, right around 2:15, 2:20, just before I checked the time on this phone, the violent psycho thug, directly below 76, who I keep making videos about because he comes up to my door and becomes violent towards me when I open the door, or when I don't open the door, he starts slamming things against the door. He's one of the most hideously ugly, gigantic pieces of shit you'll ever set your eyes on. He's so ugly, no wonder he gets all violent whenever he has knowledge of me removing my clothing in this unit, because he's never going to stand in front of an actual naked woman because he's so hideously ugly and mentally disturbed. He started repeatedly making noise directly below my bed, and that just happened 5 minutes ago. It happened as soon as I uncovered my chest once again. So it's hot, my air conditioning's not working, and I uncovered my chest with the shirt that I was covering it with while lying on my bed in the dark. So as you can see, I don't have any lights on. It's completely dark. How does the psycho scum, violent thug, directly below 76, who physically assaulted me at my door 2.5 months ago when he came up here for no reason, shouting at me about the way my legs are shaped and the fur on my face, that he should have no knowledge of, because when he was shouting at me, I was standing halfway down the hall, and there's no way that that piece of shit should have been able to see any fur on my face or even the shape of my legs. I wasn't wearing short shorts. It was February. I was wearing long pants. And how does he know that I have food in my teeth? I mean, stuff that he should have no knowledge of. He was shouting at me from in front of my door, and then when I tried to get back to my door, he shoved me physically. That's a piece of shit. He's so hideously ugly and gigantic. He looks like a giant water buffalo with spot baldness. I mean, you should see this pieces of his hair is ridiculous. Anyway, he's got issues with women, and he keeps making repeated violent pounding directly beneath this bed every time I remove an item of clothing. And it just now happened again after going on for 2 hours this evening between around 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. I had to call the Greenville group and tell them that this piece of shit was just continually starting to make slamming and banging noises at every single time I removed an item of clothing. Every single time I tried to clean my crotch, every single time I tried to use the toilet, the psycho thug directly below 76 deliberately started pounding my floor with some kind of a broomstick or rod, or I don't know what he was using. It sounded like he was slamming furniture against the ceiling of his unit, which is my floor, every single time. That is deliberate violence, aggressive, violent behavior that is entirely surveillance based. And the Greenville group are the ones using the surveillance devices, folks. It's not one person. It's not like, oh, the creepy neighbor decided to just pick the lock to my unit and then place a few little tiny surveillance dots in my bathroom. No, it's the Greenville group. When I spoke with the former maintenance manager back in 2021, his name, I'm not going to say his name because I actually might have to subpoena him for an upcoming court case against the Greenville group. His exact words were, yes, there are surveillance devices in your unit, but I don't have access to the footage and I don't know exactly where they are. You would have to talk to Oleg about getting access to the footage. And another maintenance manager also referred to Jasmine Irizarry, the psychopath who I keep talking about because she is a obsessive, mentally disturbed, sadistic stalker who is, according to the Greenville group, a surveillance expert. Well, that other maintenance manager, who I'm not going to mention the name of because I might also have to subpoena him for an upcoming court case against the Greenville group, he repeatedly referred to Irizarry as Greenville's surveillance expert and was kind of like, oh, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Oh, yeah, she's our surveillance expert. She's really good at what she does. So she is their fixer. Oleg Elysiyev, and I keep saying this, The property manager of this building, Oleg Eliseyev, is using Jasmine Irizarry, a known cyber criminal and a sex offender. Yes, she's a sex offender, but her records are sealed because she's criminally insane, who is a psychopath, to do his dirty work for him in multiple areas, right? So my student records at Suffolk University were hacked a year ago. Suffolk University sent me a letter saying that all of my student records, including my transcripts, my academic, documents, registration, all that stuff had been hacked. And they said the hack was not from like a government agency. It was a private person that did the hacking. And when I spoke with Oleg Eliseyev about 2 months after that, I said, look, you guys keep telling your tenants that I'm a hooker. I said, but I'm not a hooker. I actually have a PhD education from Suffolk University. And Mr. Eliseyev's response was, oh yeah, I know. We got confirmation of that. We did a little bit of research on our own. Well, that's interesting. So he basically admitted to using Irizarry, the psychopath and cyber criminal, who's also a sex offender. But her records have been sealed, apparently. She was in the Massachusetts Sex Offender Registry in 2017. Since then, maybe they have decided that she's too criminally insane to be out there. She's not responsible for actions. I really don't know. I'm just speculating. But Mr. Oleg Eliseyev was not shy about admitting that they had done, quote, their own research on that, and that they had gotten confirmation that I had attended Suffolk University. No university, especially a private one, would just give out the information on former students to anybody who asks. You can't just go to Suffolk and be like, hey, did John Smith go here 10 years ago? No, they're not going to tell you that. That's private information. And if that person has already, left the school, then they don't have to divulge any information, right? So when Mr. Eliseyev confirmed that he had personally gotten information about my student status at Suffolk University in the graduate program there, he basically admitted that he himself was responsible for the hacking, and it was obviously done by his fixer, Jasmine Irizarry. There's no other way that Mr. Eliseyev could possibly have gotten any kind of information whatsoever from Suffolk University about past students. I graduated from there like 18 years ago now, right? I graduated from Suffolk from their PhD program 18 years ago, early 2000s. So Suffolk is not going to automatically tell Mr. Eliseyev when he walks into one of their offices and asks if I went there. They're not going to say, oh yeah, we remember her, of course. Yeah, she went here back in like 2002. Of course not. He hacked into the records, and Irizarry is the one who did it for him. Jasmine Irizarry is the criminal fixer for Oleg Eliseyev and the Greenville Group. And that's why the violent psycho scum, hideously gigantic, filthy, ugly beast directly below in 76, who can't stop coming up to my door and physically assaulting me at my door and shouting things at me about the food in my teeth when he hasn't come near me, in like a year. And no, there's no conflict there. He has not come up to me in a year, but he did come up to my door 4 months ago. Prior to that, he had not come up to my door in a year. And before that, he had come up to my door probably about 10 times. Right. So we're talking a span of 2.5 years here. That's how he keeps making violent pounding noises directly beneath my bed throughout the afternoon and evening today, every time I have exposed my chest while lying on my bed. And that just happened now again at 2:20 in the morning. Time to call Greenville and let them know that I'm unable to sleep because their violent psycho thug in 76, who obviously they are providing footage of my activities in this unit to, is becoming violent when I expose my chest while lying on my bed in the dark. So not only am I getting stalked by Irizarry, the cyber criminal and surveillance expert, who's also a psychopath, I'm also getting stalked by the psycho scum violent thug directly below in 76, and creepy masturbating Kevin directly next door in 88, who kept calling my phone a few months ago and telling me he was going to kill me. He would also say things like he could watch me sleep.
Otherwise, press 2 to leave a voicemail for the front office. Invalid input. Please try again. Hello, you've reached the Greenville Real Estate Group. Our office. After the tone, please leave a detailed message with your name and number so we may get back to you when we return.
Hi there. It's right around 2:30 a.m. on Monday, July 16th. July 15th, 2024. This is a second voicemail that I've had to leave for the Greenville Group since this evening regarding some violent, surveillance-based, aggressive behavior against the floors and the wall of my unit from the violent psycho thug directly below 76, who has personally taken it upon himself to come up to my door on at least 10 occasions over the last 2.5 years, has physically assaulted me multiple times while I was standing at my door after he repeatedly pounded on my door. And over the last few hours, this piece of shit has been engaging in surveillance-based aggressive violence against the floor of my unit, which is his ceiling, and against the walls around the area below my bed. Every single time I have tried to remove an item of clothing that would expose my chest or certain other body parts, and every single time I've attempted to engage in any kind of personal hygiene that involved cleaning out some type of bodily orifice, such as my ears, my nose, my crotch area, armpits, etc. That piece of shit directly below in 76 likes to tell me in nonverbal behavior and violent intrusive actions that he has immediate moment by moment knowledge of everything that I do and try to engage in the privacy of my unit. And the result of that is over the last few hours, I have been completely incapable of engaging in any type of routine, personal, regular hygiene without the violent psycho thug directly below 76, who you've chosen to continue to house in 76 in spite of multiple complaints about his aggressive violence. And the result is that I am unable to engage again in any type of routine, normal hygiene in this unit without that piece of shit becoming deliberately violent and aggressive against the floor of my unit in the area that I happen to be sitting or standing in while performing the hygiene activity that the psycho thug in 76 should have no knowledge of. It is now 2:30 a.m. and about 10 minutes ago, I was lying on my bed half asleep and I removed a shirt because I was sweaty and the shirt was sweaty. And as soon as I removed that item of clothing to reveal my bare chest in the dark while lying on my bed quietly, the violent psycho thug in 76 directly below started making immediate noise directly beneath my bed once again to let me know that he has knowledge of what I do in the privacy of this unit while lying in the dark. This means that the surveillance devices that you are obviously using and have been using in this unit for at least, since 2017, 8 years now, are able to pick up video footage in the dark in spite of the fact that I don't have any lights on right now. And that's why the psycho thug suddenly started getting all agitated directly below my bed the moment I exposed my chest while lying quietly on my bed. That happened 10 minutes ago. Greenville's use of surveillance devices, not just in my living space, but in my bathroom and in the bathroom down the hall that I frequently use due to constant malfunction and privacy issues in my own bathroom, is illegal and unlawful. And unless Greenville can produce a search warrant or some type of permit provided by law enforcement regarding the use of those surveillance devices, this is a crime, and the distribution of footage of me engaging in hygiene activities in the privacy of this unit to sex offenders and violent thugs, such as a piece of shit directly below in 76, such as a masturbating nut job in Unit 88, Kevin, who won't leave me alone and who kept calling my phone repeatedly about a month and a half ago, telling me he watches me when I sleep. That is on the Greenville Group. That is directly related to Greenville's illegal, unlawful use of surveillance devices in my living space and the constant slamming and banging by Jasmine Irizarry in the bathroom of 78, where you officially housed Irizarry the psychopath between 2013 and 2022. That continues to occur in spite of the fact you keep saying Unit 78 is empty. That is also directly the fault of the Greenville Group, who is apparently using Irizarry as their surveillance expert. as you've told me multiple times via several of your employees. I am recording this voicemail for legal purposes, and I will be using it as supportive evidence in my restraining order against not just the Greenville group, but the pieces of low-life shit, the sex offenders, Irizarry, violent psycho scum directly below in 76, and Kevin, the compulsive masturbator in 88, all of whom are criminally insane and evidently whose records have been sealed due to the fact that they're criminally insane, and Greenville refuses to remove these pieces of shit to a more appropriate housing facility or to even address their violent, aggressive, intrusive behavior that affects my ability to do what I need to do in the presumed privacy of my living space when I need to do it. Thank you. Yeah, unbelievable. 2:30 in the morning, and the psycho scum directly below 76, who has absolutely no life, obviously, because he has moment by moment knowledge of everything that I do and violently reacts to anything that I do that involves showing boobs or crotch activity or bathroom activity. He's obviously a mentally disturbed, perverted psycho scum with no life. He's so hideously ugly. The chances of him ever physically standing in front of an actual naked female who wants to be with him are below zero. That's why he gets violent whenever I take off my shirt, that filthy piece of shit.